Well, let's get right into it. Our next guest is a former American Idol contestant winner. You won, right?
I did win, yeah.
Dude, the dude freaking
Believe it or
won, and
not.
he performed at Kiss in the finale. I remember watching it like it was yesterday. Brand new record came out, Mountain Mojo Volume 1, with some huge stars guesting on it. We'll talk all about that. Welcome to the show, the extremely handsome and sexy, much more attractive twin brother of mine,
Because he looks
Mr.
like
Caleb
you?
Johnson. Caleb Johnson. There he is, everybody.
Honored to be here, guys. Honored to be here.
Dude,
God.
so listen, I was just listening to this record, Mountain Mojo Volume 1. It's available now. You're working with some heavyweights. I mean, you got Jason Bonham on here. His drums sound huge, almost as good as his dad's. You got Damon Johnson on here. You got Tyler Bryant, some big heavy hitter guitar players. Talk about how this record happened. Was it like a quarantine isolation thing, or was this something in the works already?
Yeah, you know, this record kind of came to fruition in my head, really, the middle of 2020. You know, the lockdown was in full swing, you know, pandemic, madness, aliens, Godzilla. It was all happening, or
Right.
I wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
And touring was just non-existent. We weren't doing any shows at all. And so I was like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go and do another album. I was like, I'm going to take this time and kind of capitalize on this kind of downtime and reach out to some folks and see if they'd be interested in playing on this record. And so I kind of just was like, you know, I want to build a killer band. And so Bonham was the first guy that I had reached out to, and he was like, I'm in. I'm like, well, holy shit. So here we go. We got the foundation. And then we got Tony Lucido and Mike Webb, who are both Nashville A-list session guys, but are definitely rock guys through and through. Mike has played on I think a couple of Chris Stapleton's records, and also did some keyboards on that California Breed record. I don't know if you remember that album with Glenn Hughes and Andrew Watt and Bonham that came out a couple of years ago.
Talking about Andrew Watt, how come you didn't try and get him on the record?
Well, but I was kind of looking at like people that were kind of in the vicinity of like the East Coast. And I don't know Andrew. I don't really have a relationship with Andrew. And Andrew, I think, is West Coast. He's out in LA.
Yeah, he's an LA Nashville guy.
But I wanted everybody to be in the room and play. I didn't want it to be like a sort of like quarantined record.
Right.
I wanted everybody to come to the studio and perform in the studio as a unit, you know, and get that synergy and that mojo. Hey, you know what I'm saying?
That mountain mojo.
Yeah. So I kind of just looked at kind of like just people that were on the East Coast and just reached out to them. A lot of the guys were already in Nashville. Damon was in Nashville. Tyler Bryant was in Nashville. Ollie Freed was in Nashville. So really the only person that had to come out of state was Bonham. Bonham drove up from Florida, like 11 hours, got in this big, huge $60,000 Raptor truck, which was amazing. It had like green camo, so badass. Came up with his drums, and we flew out his drum tech from LA and cut the record in like 2 days. It was like 7 songs in 2 days.
That's pretty amazing to hear, because it's like in this day and age, everything's, you know, everybody's drums are programmed to the same drum samples, sending sessions back and forth. You did this classic, organic, old school rock and roll style, and it's awesome.
Yeah, we did it live. Yeah, it's all live. Like all the stuff that you're hearing is live performances. And I was talking to Jason about this a couple of months ago, actually. Is these guys, this unit had never played together before. Some of these guys, this was the first time meeting one another, you know, on this record. So that first day was like literally the first time that any of these guys had played together as a unit. And I think the first track we cut was Dead Man Walking Blues, and it was like around lunchtime, and it was just seamless. Like,
did they just like gel right away? Like they just plugged in on the floor and started jamming, or
like making an album. I kind of look at it as kind of like I'm like the director and directing a film, and you have to get the right cast to make that work and gel.
You were kind of like Mutt Lang through this whole thing.
Yeah, well, so I actually produced this record on my own by default, because the guy that was going to co-produce the record with me, my cousin, who's like a 3-time Grammy-winning, amazing bluegrass.
No, never hire family. Never hire family, Caleb.
But it worked with him because he actually co-produced the last record, the Born from Southern Ground record that we did back in 2019. But he kind of he kind of was helping facilitate like the studio we recorded at Blackbird Studios, and
Great studio.
Yeah, really awesome studio. And he was going to help co-produce, but his daughter got sick with COVID the week before the session. And so he's like, I can't be there. He's like, you're going to have to do this on your own. And
Damn.
I said, oh shit. But it worked out great. Everything was seamless, and working with those guys was a total blast. And really all I did was just let them do what they wanted to do, you know, and let them be who they are, and be the stars that they are. Okay. Yeah. So they killed it, man. They just threw it down, like just brought the house down. And I mean,
well, it's funny listening to it because it does sound incredibly live and very organic. I mean, even Jason's drum sound, I can hear the room mics going on in there. Like it almost sounds like tape to a certain extent, like how good and like groovy everybody sounds in the room, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we I think the max amount of takes we did per song was about 4 or 5, you know, takes. And usually by about the 4th or 5th take, we pretty much had it. You know, I mean, we were literally learning the stuff on the spot. Like these guys had gotten the demos, but the demos, I mean, if you would have listened to the demo versions of the songs that are now recorded, it's like completely different than what was the original demos of some of those songs, you know. And there was a lot of input. You know, that was the thing. It wasn't like I was just like, this needs to be exactly like this. It was like Damon had an idea.
Well, yeah.
Or Jason had an idea for Dead Man Walking Blues, where the song originally, the demo, everybody just came in. It was like, it was like fucking heavy right out of the gate. He was like,
so did you wrote the songs?
Yeah, I co-wrote, there's 7 songs. So 2 of the songs are covers.
Well, there's Drift Away, the Dobie Gray song.
Dobie Gray, yeah.
But the originals you wrote.
And Celebrate. So all the originals, yes, I co-wrote.
Yeah.
So, and I co-wrote those with my guitar player, longtime guitar player, Josh Sawyer, who's also on the record as well. We've been playing music since we were kids in high school. So I co-wrote Dead Man with Josh, Glory Bound with Josh, and Child of the Wild with Josh. And then Hurricane I wrote with Damon Johnson. So
cool.
Who's an amazing talent.
He's so great, Damon. I mean, like, you know, when you're bringing in musicians like that, I mean, you can't really go wrong. And it's like, do you even argue with them? You know?
I mean, there was no place to argue. I mean, it was just a very seamless, natural.
But then how do you, okay, let me ask you this. You're bringing in a drummer like Jason Bonham. You got Tyler Bryant. You got Damon Johnson in there. How do they elevate the song from your demo to what goes on the record?
Oh, they shoot it through the roof. I mean, they bring a lot of attitude. They bring a lot of charisma. They bring a lot of soul to those. Because a demo is a demo. A demo, you're not like performing it. You're just kind of like getting the bare bones, like structure of the song down to kind of like go off of. You know, it's like verse, chorus, what, you know, bridge, guitar solo, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's all really a blank canvas, because you take that template in and you're like, well, I hear this other thing. Like, what if we, instead of doing this, we do that? Or what if we change the melody on this? Or what if we extend this bridge to some, you know, into a musical thing? Or, you know, it's like the demos are templates, but when the musicians get in and they actually perform together, that's when the songs really come to life. And they really, your vision is like, it's manifesting, you know, right before your ears and eyes, you know? So the musicians, they take it, they're basically like, and this is very cheesy, you know, Bob Ross type thing, but you know, it's like a painter, and you have your template, you have your thing, and the musicians are like the paints. And when you start to paint, the picture forms, you know, and it's like they're guiding that picture or whatever. But
now Mitch is just picturing you playing with Tyler Bryant's paintbrush. It's
exactly
quite the visual.
Yes.
Hey, let me just ask you this, because
visualizations.
Oh my Lord, yeah, they're so good. You've got the Venom shirt
now.
on. You bring in Jason Bonham. You've got Damon Johnson. You're doing this rock stuff. You're hanging out with.
Did you just say you got the Venom shirt on? Is that what you said?
That's what he said.
You got the Venom shirt on, bro. You got. But my what I'm trying to get to is you're very much metal. You're very much hard rock. How was it on American Idol to be in that structured pop world? Did it just drive you crazy, or you're like, hey, I got a goal, and it's to be a rock and roll singer, and it's to be popular, and this is just part of the process?
They really, for me, the production, the American Idol production, were not. I mean, they definitely gave me some pushback on the kind of rock stuff to a certain degree, but they really kind of let me do my own thing. They were very much like, this guy's great, let him do what he wants to do, and so
Yeah.
I really kind of just, in terms of like playing the pop game, I just kind of did, because there was a point that when I was on the show that they were like, you're kind of doing the same thing every week. You're doing a rock song, da da da. And then I was like, well, you kiss my ass. Here's a Adele Skyfall. You know what I'm saying? Like I know, like I really kind of did that just to be like, to show them like I was not a one trick pony, but that my heart was in rock. You know what I'm saying?
And look, I mean, you look at some of the songs you did at the time. I remember you did like, I'm pretty sure you did Still of the Night, and I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
and
I did White Snake. Yeah.
Yeah, you did like Dazed and Confused, like proper rock songs that takes a lot to sing. And I feel like that might have scared the other contestants, or even because it's like everybody wants to be a pop star, and their ultimate goal is, be on top 4, to be on Z100. We got the new American Idol single, blah blah blah. But
that never happened. Like that never happened for me after the show. But being on the show, that was never my goal to begin with. I never.
Do you think because you were a rock guy, they tried to suppress your success?
Oh, totally. Yes, they did. Absolutely. I mean, when we did they were doing the Winners single, which was this, and I have no ill will to this guy, or I'm a big fan of his band and his music, but the song that they had presented me was just total garbage. It was awful. It was a song called As Long As You Love Me, which was written by Justin Hawkins from The Darkness. And it just had this just terrible lyrical content. It was like cracking eggs to make omelets, and like,
it was lame.
Yeah, wearing the same track suits. I'm like, what does that have to do with me? Like, what is this in the context of, and I was like, and I'm not even shitting you. This is the exact words that came out of this guy's mouth. But I was at the studio in Calabasas, and I turned to the A&R guy for Interscope Records, and I handed him the lyric sheet, and I was like, do you think this is a hit song? And he looked me dead in the eyes. He was like, Caleb, nobody writes rock songs anymore. That's what he told me. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I knew right then and there that this was going to be a nightmare, working with these people. And, it is what it is. But I didn't have that goal. Like, I didn't have that, oh my God, I'll be a big pop star. Da, da, da. I just wanted to do rock music. And this was a great platform to do that on. And showed my stuff. And that was kind of like my mindset in the show. And I didn't even have the mindset to even win it. It was just that this was a great opportunity, and just get my voice out there and whatever, And so, but yes, definitely, they definitely suppressed it. And the unfortunate thing is that doing the record, I kind of was like, because I wanted their support, obviously, because I was like, this is my career, and we have to work together by default, so there was a thing of like, I need to play the game a little bit with them. And so when we did this record, and there's some great songs on that first Idol record. I mean, I don't really claim that to be like my best record, but there's some really great gems on it that should, like, for example, the song Fighting Gravity, that should have been like a #1 pop crossover rock hit, but they put no support they put literally no support behind that.
Or if they did like a country arrangement with Keith Urban guesting a guitar solo or something, that would have immediately been on the highway the next day.
That was a little before its time, because when we were making the record, but when we were in the first stages of the record, I really wanted this guy named Dave Cobb to produce that record. And they were like, who the fuck is Dave Cobb? And I'm like,
Dave Cobb, he just worked with Crownlands on their new album. He's like making a name.
Yeah. Well, make it with obviously with Chris Stapleton. Like, he produced.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that Dave Cobb was kind of like on the up and up, and I was like, I want to work with Dave. I was like, Dave's done all the Rival Sons records. I think he'd done like Shooter Jennings and stuff like that. And they're like, no, you're going to work with this other guy who's had, a track record of success he had like a big track record of success, like in the mid 2000s with like All American Rejects, Daughtry, POD, which really that wasn't my vibe, you know. It's
Yeah.
definitely, I was a blues rock dude.
Right.
And Dave was that guy, and they were like, "Who the fuck is Dave Cobb?" Because Dave Cobb hadn't had that massive amount of success that he has had now with Chris Stapleton and Sturgill Simpson and Jason Isbell, and I mean, he's like the hottest guy producer in Nashville now. And I saw that he was going to be that guy, but they wouldn't listen to me. And so after the fact, when I got out of all the contracts with 19 and Interscope, and Chris Stapleton had just blown up, he had just done the thing with Justin Timberlake, and he was taking off. I was like, that could have been me, you assholes. But yeah, fucked it up, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, you got to have your finger on the pulse, guys. Like, you can't,
it helps.
You can't look at what's coming around.
Hey, Jeremy, Jeremy, just one second. I want to ask you, Jeremy, a question. When you're in Top 40 radio, do they come to you with the American Idol records and say, this is a priority because, you know, Jennifer out there wants to listen to this? I mean, do they give any weight to American Idol?
Well, look, I mean, even with the stuff that's coming out, like, it's come out of The Voice in the last couple of years. I mean, in reality, nobody's really made a big hit or come out of it and been hugely successful because, you know, you either have the record, you know, the label guy, you know, pushing for ads. Hey, I need an extra couple of spins on this or that. If it doesn't test well with the focus group, we're not going to spin it. I mean, every single song we play on our station goes through an auditorium test. It's tested with our core demo of like who the station targets.
Right.
So
your Jennifers, as they call
it could be the #1 song in the world. I'll give you an example. There was like a Justin Bieber song, like maybe like 2 years ago, and like it was the #1 song, and it was just like a little too aggressive in the production. So the station was like, we can't play it. But the record label's like, but it's #1. They're like, yeah, but it didn't test well with our audience, so we can't add it. So it really does actually come down to the audience in a lot of situations.
Wow.
Yeah.
But also it comes down to, you know, what the record and your arrangement and how the song sounds. I mean, you know, shitty production will drive a really good song into the ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was the case with that As Long As You Love Me. That was just like a very cheesy. I mean, if you guys pull that up and listen to it and think, my God, what the hell were they thinking? You know, but unfortunately it was out of my hands. I really had no control over that. And in the terms of like fighting gravity, I dropped so first of all, there was no single really that was pushed from that album. Nothing. Yeah. So I dropped $30,000 of my own money into doing a music video for Fighting Gravity because there was no single music video. There was nothing. If I hadn't have done that, there would have literally been no proof that record had even come out. You know what I'm saying? Like
I thought there was a whole infrastructure. I thought that you had a contract and they had all kinds of stuff in place. Because you look at
they pulled out. I mean, they were like going for this other song that was really just a terrible song, and it had a bunch of auto tune on it. And I was like, God, why? You know, but
is it a guy girl thing?
They were going to do it. They were supposed to do a music video for it, but they pulled the plug on it. They were like, we're not going to even do it. We're not even going to.
Because you look at Kelly Clarkson and you look at all Carrie Underwood and all these people, they pushed them all over the place. So
and I mean, look, dude, but Kelly Clarkson, they immediately threw her with Max Martin and Dr. Luke. Caleb, they wouldn't even give him like, an almost nobody producer he wanted to work with. So
they threw him with Mitch and Jeremy. That's what they did. Look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
Exactly. God, so they couldn't even hook you up with Joey Moy or somebody.
Yeah, it was a very quick learning experience about I learned a lot from that whole situation in that scenario, but what I really learned from it was like, shit, I can do this on my own. I was like, I don't need all these people. Like the people that have your best interest is yourself, you know, and if you have a really good gauge on your vision, you can do whatever the hell you want to. And that just proves my point with this record with Mountain Mojo. I produced this entire record, got all these guys on it, and it sounds fucking amazing. Like you don't have to go through a machine kind of thing, You know, now I definitely I lied in the bed that I made because I went on Idol and I knew kind of what I was sort of in for, but you really don't know that until you take the risk and do and jump off the ledge. And that's kind of where, you know, at least I made the effort to try to get my voice and stuff out there, which it totally did, you know, or I wouldn't be talking to you guys. But unfortunately, the aftermath immediately after the show was a very rocky, shitty experience to a certain degree, but it happens. I'm not the first artist that's happened to, and I'm definitely not the last artist that's happened to, but the main thing is that you kind of have to move forward and beyond that, and it's been great. I mean, I've had such a blast being an independent artist, getting to do whatever I want to do, and I have a really good fan base that has been able to sustain me, beyond the show. That's not even just from the show. I mean, obviously, a lot of the core fans are from that show, but have been able to do arena tours with Kiss and do shows with Cheap Trick and Sammy Hagar and Joan Jett and Blackstone Cherry and now with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely given me a career in what I love, which is music. So.
How did you get hooked up with Doc McGee? Because of the Kiss thing on American Idol? Or?
Yeah, that was that. So that whole thing came about from the finale, and Doc was like, "Do you have a manager?" And I was like, "Well, I'm probably going to be with 19 after the show or whatever." He was like, "Well, yeah," and he was like, "Well, keep me in mind and give me a call." And so when I got out of all that stuff, called Doc, went to his office, and then that was it. It was on the Kiss tour like the next year, So, and Doc's a great guy. He's a legend. He's iconic, in the rock with rock world, Bon Jovi and
absolutely
Scorpion, Skid Row.
Snake
Sabo is my day-to-day guy who I was just talking to before
it's his birthday today.
It is his birthday. I sang him happy birthday, and he said, "Shut the hell up, you asshole." Just kidding. And actually, I'm not. I'm not.
Do you want to stay a solo artist, or if a band like a Whitesnake or a Scorpion said,
Soundgarden? Yeah.
Soundgarden.
We called me up today and was like, "Come sing with us." I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I'll be there."
I'm out. Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of like and also the Meatloaf thing with this the Meatloaf stuff with Paul Crook and those guys. That's kind of what that's going for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know how much longer that's going to happen. I really, because I don't really have a say in the matter, but I've been doing that for like 3 years now, and it's great. And I fucking love, Bat Out of Hell and fucking Meatloaf. And to me, he's one of the greatest rock singers ever.
And by the way, I think they did it right, because you look at some of these bands that lose all the members and then they continue with the brand name. You lost Meatloaf. He can't do it. And instead of saying, "Oh, well, here's Caleb being Meatloaf," they just went, "No, we're just going to call it the Meatloaf Show." And it's brilliant. I mean, Paul is brilliant.
Meatloaf presents Bat or whatever.
Right.
Now, on down the road, they might actually, it might be the actual name. But that's a very on down the road thing, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to be with that unit. But they're amazing. Paul Crook is like, fuck, he's one of the greatest guitar players I've ever worked with, and that band kicks ass, dude. Neverland Express.
And to think that he came from Anthrax. He was the replacement guy in Anthrax, and now he's got this great career doing this stuff. It's fantastic.
Wow. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, he was in Anthrax in mid-90s.
Yeah, he really it just came down to, Meatloaf has had a lot of health issues over the years, and it's just gotten progressively worse. And Paul's been Meatloaf's musical director for like 20 years, and Paul saw me on Idol, and he was like, "I want to work with that guy." He was like, I want to work with him, and obviously he'd be a perfect fit for this, and so, and I love those albums, Bat Out of Hell 1 and 2. And actually the first Meatloaf record I got was Bat Out of Hell live, or Meatloaf live with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, which has those guys on it, the Neverland Express. So it was a very cool full circle moment performing with those guys, because that was such a very influential record for me when I was a young whippersnapper,
Yeah.
And they're great guys, dude. They fucking kill it. But yeah, like if Soundgarden fucking called me, I'd be like, I'm there.
That would be like me trying, joining Shania Twain's band. Like that would be the childhood dream.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Let's go, Caleb. And. Oh, fuck.
Love it.
Well, anyways, listen, brand new album, Mountain Mojo Volume 1's available now where music is sold. Have you done the vinyl? You done the cassettes? You're doing physical copies, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Vinyl right here, baby.
Oh, look at that.
Right,
Are you doing the autographed copies available on the website, or?
Yeah, so you go to www.calebjohnsonofficial.com. That's www.calebjohnsonofficial.com. You get the signed vinyl, you get the CD, you get the T-shirt, you get the sex toy, you get the whole thing.
You get the Polaroid nudes. We'll slip everything in for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, and listen, I mean, the record itself, I mean, honestly, because Born from Southern Ground, I really love that record a lot. But this record here, man, is like, I really feel like this is like the cream of the crop thus far that I've put out. Like, this really is.
It sounds fantastic, and the songs are brilliant, and the performances are incredible. It's honestly one of my favorites of the year. So that's no bullshit either.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. And the other thing too is that we not only was the band killer, but we got some really heavy hitters with the engineering and mixing and mastering. We got Brandon Bell, who engineered the record. Brandon actually engineered, I think he mixed the Soundgarden Brandy Carlisle collaboration, which that was amazing. He's also done tons of stuff with Zach Brown and Robert Randolph and the Family Band, and a lot of the Americana type artists. And then we got Vance Powell, who's like a 6-time Grammy-winning mixer, engineer, producer that has mixed all of Chris Stapleton's records, Jack White's records. I think he's did the Dead Weather records.
Those Dead Weather records sound incredible.
Yeah. And then Pete Lyman, who mastered the record, and Pete's done all of Chris Stapleton stuff. He's done the most recent Fall Out Boy records and Panic at the Disco, Rival Sons, all that stuff. Wow. So
great stuff.
It's just a chef's kiss. You know what I'm saying? A little And
by the way, we haven't really mentioned TSO. Are you looking forward to the tour? I've spoken to a couple of the other members who are scared shitless because of the whole COVID thing. Are you in the scared shitless pile, or are you in the let's just go rock and roll? Come on.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I think my mental capacity now is just completely numb to all the COVID stuff, because last year was just such a nightmare. I mean, I was just like, I turned into a hypochondriac. I was like that. And now I'm just like, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's there, it's here. I mean, you're just going to have to roll with it. And so I'm kind of at the point now where whatever happens, and I commend this organization for going out and doing the tour, because people this show is such a special show. Like I mean, when we did Christmas Eve and Other Stories tour back in 2019, I mean, by the middle of the show, you'll be in tears, like you'll be bawling your eyes out, because it's just such a magical, emotional, beautiful show, like that story, that rock opera. And I think it's going to have a lot more weight and meaning to it this year, doing it live with these audiences that come to the show, because
it's going to be a spiritual moment.
I really feel like
it will be,
because Paul O'Neill definitely tapped into that with that Christmas Eve and Other Stories rock opera. And I really truly feel like people are going to need that, and it's going to be a great kind of exorcism of like all the stress and pain and anxiety and loss and all that stuff. It's going to be a really great healing moment for a lot of people that come to that show. And I'm very honored to be a part of that organization and that band, and great people. I mean, fantastic singers, musicians. I mean, they've got
Joel Hoekstra. Come on.
Yeah. Joel Hoekstra is the man. I mean, and then, Chris Cafferty, Jeff Plate. I mean, Al Petrelli.
Jeff Scott Soto too, does he? Is Jeff Scott still doing it?
Jeff's still doing. I mean, you got Jeff Scott Soto, you got Russell Allen, you got you got Dino Jalusic, who's now the
Whitesnake,
the keyboard player for Whitesnake.
We like that. We like that.
But
we need to get this show to Montreal. I mean, TSO hasn't been here since I think 2004.
Wow,
it's been a long motherfucking time.
Yeah.
And we played Toronto. We played Toronto back in 2019. That was the last show of the tour.
Toronto sucks. Just kidding. I'm on the air in Toronto now. I can't say that.
Well, how far is Toronto from Montreal?
About 6-hour drive.
Yeah, it's like 5 and change.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on with the border stuff? Are they letting people in and out, or what's happening with that?
You got to get a test before you go, and you have a negative test when you get here, and then you got to take a test before you go back. It's a whole thing.
You can sort of fly in and out, but we can't drive over. Like if I want to go over to Plattsburgh, New York, I can't go right now.
That doesn't make any sense to me because I did a
Zero
private
fucking
charity
sense.
show. Yeah, I did a private charity show with Tommy Thayer over the weekend. It was so cool. It was like you got Tommy Thayer and then like basically like ex-members of Chicago. Like that was the backing band. And so
Wow.
I sang for that band for this amazing charity event that Tommy puts on, or they just started. It's called the Thayer Family Foundation, and they raised like over $500,000 for homeless veterans over the weekend. And the table that I was sitting at, there was a couple from Canada, and they were like, you can fly out, but you can't drive out. And I'm like, what kind of sense does that even make?
Dude, it's zero sense. And the funny thing is that, like, you have to take a test. I think it's 72 hours in advance. It has to be negative. But to be fair, you could contract COVID within those 3 days of getting your test and then fly out. And then you have to take another test, when you land, if you say, and then like 3 days later, it's so weird. So you have to spend at least 3 days in the States if you go down from Canada.
Oh my God.
And another weird wrinkle is they banned flights from India for a while, but they didn't ban people coming from India. So folks can literally fly to Frankfurt, Germany, and then take a flight here, and it's perfectly fine.
Yep, as long as you're fully vaxxed, no test, nothing. Fly to Europe.
You don't even have to be fully vaxxed. You can go from Bombay or Delhi or whatever to Frankfurt to Montreal, but you can't do Delhi to Montreal direct. It's like it's the same person coming in.
I don't know. And that's, going back to your original question about the TSO thing and about people being scared out of their minds and all that stuff. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting once it gets going. Right. Like if somebody does get COVID, what's going to happen in the band? Because you have first you got it's a huge band. It's like, I don't know, like a 10, 11, 12 piece band.
That's why you record like 10 shows on Pro Tools in rehearsal. And then if that person's sick, you just, unmute their track live and you're good.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing is and Kiss was a good example of this. So Paul Stanley got COVID. They had to shut down 5 shows. So if one of us gets sick, are they going to shut down the tour? And that's a big production. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to have very strict protocols, with just
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, the best
Gene
protocol
and
Paul Gene and Paul.
Jeez.
But just
Gene
get your plexiglass ready. Just make sure you have all your plexiglass.
Yeah, I know. They're going to have us plexiglass on stage, like the choir, the choral. We're doing the choral stuff.
Like the drummers.
In between plexiglass.
You know how drummers sometimes have that plexiglass?
Everyone's going to have their own isolation booth on stage now.
Yeah.
It'll be terrific. But,
and by the way, another real quick Shania Twain reference. Former violinist for TSO, Mark Wood, is the father of Shania Twain's drummer, Elijah Wood. So there you go.
Hey,
yeah, Elijah was so there was a girl she was brand new on the TSO tour back in 19. Really sweet, beautiful girl, Haley, that Elijah was dating her. And Elijah came to the shows to see her, and then her dad, Elijah's dad, was at the shows as well. So we got to meet all those cats, and it was. And
I think
really
Haley was
cool.
I think she was one of Shania's backup singers too on the last tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also think Roddy Chong played.
Yes, he was Shania's OG fiddle player. I'm a huge Roddy fan. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's great.
Mitch, you ever want to see somebody play really look really cool playing a fiddle? You look at Roddy. He's just all those OG Shania band members. They have such a swagger and a coolness and intensity to the way they play. They just look so cool.
Roddy's the man, dude. I Shania, she brings it, and she's got killer band.
Yep.
And now is Elijah still with her?
Yeah, they're doing the Vegas shows in December, which I want to go down for. So.
Yeah, and I've just and I've just now started going back to concerts. I just saw the Black Crowes and Dirty Honey.
Oh, how was that?
Weekends ago. It was amazing. It was one of the greatest rock and roll shows I've ever seen. I mean, Chris sounded amazing. Dirty Honey was amazing, and it was so good to go see a show, a concert again. And everybody was
Mark LaBelle, man, great singer.
Yeah, miss me when I'm gone.
Yep.
Super high. Yeah,
All that vibrato
Axl Rose.
too. Just
Yeah, very
Yeah.
very killer. And that band is a killer rock band. It's great to see these young rock and roll bands like coming up and like just you got them. You got Wolfgang's band, Mammoth. I think they're great.
Yep. The Struts are still killing it. Like
The Struts are great. I'm friends with all those guys. The Struts guys,
Mhm.
and then you got Greta Van Fleet, which I really enjoyed the last record. The more proggy kind of Rush kind of deal, like the very.
There's a band out there called Joyous Wolf. That's actually something fun to watch.
Those guys are good too. Yeah, they're kind of like a Pearl Jam kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're a bit more sort of dirty rock if you want to call it, but they're just fun. They opened for Buck Cherry on a tour, and I saw the tour 3-4 times, and they were just great live. You know.
Yeah.
And their tour manager is a former NHL referee, so hey, got the hockey connection.
Nice.
So why not?
It's great. I really feel like over the past couple of years, there's been an influx of really great young rock bands, rock and roll bands.
Dude, just today, there's a great Canadian band called Crownlands that put out a new EP, and like it's just two dudes, and they're doing like Rush, Triumph, kind of like proggy, but like classic sounding rock. It's really good.
I think I heard about that. I need to check out that band. How many records have they put out thus far? Like
they've 4 EPs.
Yeah, like 4 EPs, and but they've
the
worked
latest
with
came out today. White Buffalo, right?
Yep, White Buffalo's the new one, came out today. They're really good, dude. Check them out, Crownlands.
Isn't that cool that you got bands that are being more progressive and like more fantasy, science fiction kind of?
Yes, space movie kind of,
it's that old throwback Rush, the late '70s Rush era, and
the bathrobes,
the kimonos. Yes,
the kimonos looking like Jedi Masters.
The good old days.
Exactly. Yeah. We are the priests. Yeah. Of the temples. Yeah. But I love that shit. I eat that stuff up, and the Dio stuff, the Black Sabbath, the Mob Rules, and all that imagery.
I'll be honest with you, Caleb. I'll be honest with you. I find that in the rock world, though, these days, everybody's trying to be too 70s, like, Rushy, Zeppelin, even Greta Van Fleet, it's too Zeppelin-y stuff. I'm waiting for bands to come back and play melodic hard rock. I want, like, some Def Leppard sounding bands. I want some
like
Bon
Foreigner,
Jovi sounding bands,
Yeah. That's called Nickelback.
Yeah.
Well, but I feel like Nickelback is very much like it's just hard rock. Like it's very much it's like Heartland rock.
It's
almost.
the Black Album regurgitated 8 times.
Yeah. But they very much sing about like small town, like it's a very like almost not Bob Seger's kind of pushing it, but like a very like middle America, like it's a very heartlandish type sound, like with just the lyrical content,
that makes sense.
Like a straight up Animals is like a straight up like almost like it's like a heavy version of like a 50s rock and roll song. You know what I'm saying, about having sex in the back of a car.
We listen to a song like This Afternoon where they're just singing about getting drunk.
Yeah.
Better hang on if you're tagging along.
Yeah. I like Nickelback. I
love Nickelback.
Yeah.
So
they're great. They're great.
I do too. But it really is. It's sort of like Living on a Prayer lyrics put to a Black Album kind of vibe.
Exactly.
That's what they do, and it's I like it.
Yeah. And it's funny
they're from Canada, right? Are they from Canada?
Alberta.
Yeah.
Good old Alberta. Yeah. All the great.
You wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think that listening to them. I thought they were from like down south or something like that.
Oh, they sound total LA. It's total San Diego, LA kind of vibe.
Yeah. But going back, going back to the '70s thing, I personally, I would rather hear something that sounds like '70s than like a more modernized thing, because that's just I love that stuff. I love the experimental. I don't even
aspect of it.
I'm not even making up a word, but just very experimentalist. That's a real word.
No, totally.
Aspect of those '70s rock band records where they weren't afraid. Like you have like a guy like Alice Cooper that would do like a thing like School's Out, which is a very anthemic thing, and then he would do like a concept record like Welcome to My Nightmare and have all these different parts. That's
the greatest record he's ever made.
It absolutely is. But or like Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd The Wall, like those type of very like storytelling. It's just more. It's more for the palate. Like it's kind of like the Who, that like Tommy and Quadrophenia. They really expand on their sound sonically. So I'm all about that stuff. So I'm gonna check out Crownlands for sure.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. The new EP, the first 3 songs are like 4 minutes each, like good radio friendly Bon Jovi type songs, and then the last song is 13 and a half minutes, and it's
great.
It's a voyage. I mean, it's just sounds and moods,
and it's 2 dudes. It's only 2 people.
Wow. So does the guy do the Geddy Lee thing where he plays like organs and stuff?
He's got Taurus pedals and everything.
Is he playing bass or guitar?
Guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good.
All right.
But they're 2 people on stage. I guess like the White Stripes, right? Which are only 2, I guess.
They're Royal Blood, yeah.
In Royal Blood. Yeah, so it's fascinating because we asked them, we interviewed them recently, and we said, do you cheat? Do you run Pro Tools? Do you run tape?
And they were like,
nope.
fuck that. No, man, we got Taurus pedals. We're triggering everything live in real time. Like, it's a proper performance. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm checking that out. I'm gonna take an edible later and just listen to all that crap. So,
dude, you'll love it.
You'll love that. You'll love that 13-minute song on an edible. Let me tell you.
Hell yeah!
Can't handle that shit on strong acid.
Oh man! Well, this has been great. Right. Absolutely fantastic. I'm glad we got to connect again. It's our second interview, Jeremy. It's your first.
Yeah, it's first time meeting. This was awesome. It's cool to finally chat.
Yes. Likewise, guys. Mitch, always a pleasure, dude.
Thank you, sir. Always great. And we'll have this up in a couple of weeks. And there you go.
We'll be good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, stay safe.
Cool. See you later, man.